Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Akir and in today's tutorial we are going to learn about arrays. Now we have learned how to declare variables before, and with arrays it's like declaring a number of variables together that are connected to each other. So if you declare an array of integers with a size of 5 for example, it is like declaring 5 int variables, but they will be grouped together in memory. Arrays allow easier reference to any of the variables in them, and they make it easier when grouping data together. They have some disadvantages though, as they are not very dynamic, meaning that once you set a size for them, it's not always so easy to expand or contract. It is possible, but in many times, especially with large amounts of data, or with many changes to the number of elements, it may be problematic and could make the memory and CPU work hard. For things like ongoing or size changing lists, such as dictionary, a phone book, an MP3 player, it is not very recommended. Think about songs in an MP3 player, for example. You can't predict how many songs the user is going to put in it, nor the size of each song. Therefore, declaring a song array is not a good idea. But for many cases, if you are planning of making a list of guests and you know the maximum number of guests that are allowed in the hall, which is 300 for example, there is no problem using an array to contain the guests. Since even if there are 200 guests coming, it means that 100 guests in the array will remain empty, but it is not such a big deal in this case and with these numbers. As you may think, we don't need to change the numbers of a guest all the time. It's static, it's 300, and that's okay. Also for a bus list, for example, when you say, okay, we have the maximum bus capacity of 50 passengers, and if 40 will come on the bus, it still be fine. For these cases, arrays are very simple and fast data structures for implementation. Okay, so we talked about arrays a lot. Let's see how it's done. Declaring an array is simple, however, takes some time getting used to the syntax. We declare the integer array we have been talking about. Simply put in the type of data you want, in that case int, the name of the array, let's call it array for simplicity's sake, square brackets, an equal sign, new, again integer, the data type, and square brackets again, mentioning the size of the array that you would like to create. In that case, let's put 5. Now in memory, it looks kind of like this. 5 elements that are connected to each other, and each of them has a memory address. Notice that we said that the array size will be 5, and the index count starts at 0. So the first index is at 0, and the last index will be at 4. We refer to the location of each of these variables by pointing out the index. So if, for example, we want what's in index number 2, we just write array at index 2, and that translates into what's in it. So we could, for example, print what's in it on the screen, like that. But since we haven't assigned any numbers in our array yet, our array contains zeros, as it is the default value of an integer when we declare it. But if we want to change it, let's say we want to give some numbers to put in the array, we can do it in a few ways. We can do it manually like this. So we'll go, for example, to the array at index 0 and assign the number of 2, for example, and then continue filling it out this way. But also we have a different way to do that, to actually declare and assign an array all in the same line. Like this. Let's create a new array and assign values to it. All you need to do is open curly brackets, like this, and separate the values with a comma. And then it will automatically know how many elements there are. So according to the numbers of elements that you provided, let's say you wrote 5 elements, then the array will get the size of 5. So the array size will be 5. So you don't have to fill all the array if you want. You could declare an array of 20, but only fill 5 of the indexes. And perhaps next time you could insert more values if you want. You can also save it in an int variable. You see, when we write array and the index 2, for example, this whole thing, array index 2, that will bring us back an integer number, since our array is of type integer. So that array square brackets 2 will translate into the numbers that inside the index 2. So that's actually a number. So if we say, if we declare an int variable to store that number, it's perfectly fine, because they're matching the data type. You can't, for example, declare a string variable and set it assigned to the int value, since they're not the same data type. You could, however, assign it to a double variable, and that's fine, since in Java the conversion of int and double is allowed. You should do it with when the data types are integers. So to put an integer in an integer, that's fine, and we are good to go. Also, you can change the value in a specific index by typing something like that. Let's say we want to change the value at index 1, array square brackets 1 equals to 9, for example, and it is changed. Okay, great job. And as always, I highly recommend that you practice what we learned here today. Arrays are very important in Java, and we have a lot more to cover and to use them for. In the next tutorial, we will make a fun little program that involves all that we have studied so far, and also using arrays. So until then, I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.